Good morning, United Kingdom. Good morning. Trying to warm up this morning. Obviously cold where I am, so trying to catch up with the weather. Right. Good morning. 8 a.m., 9 a.m. every morning. The alternative business and properties community with Lakhi Singh, the business and properties community. Well, properties fixer. That's right. It's a slow start this morning. Let's try it again. Lakhi Singh, the business and property fixer. That's right. And today's topic, obviously, is a continuation that dreams work only if you do. Don't work unless you do. And we've had the discussion many times. And obviously, I think yesterday it was Dee actually gave us a bit more clarity on that and said, well, dreams are objectives or goals that you achieve without having to do anything. So then it takes away the actual definition in some ways, because if you're having to work for them, then they're not coming to you without working. So can a dream be gotten by work? We'll talk about that later on. And also how to take the leap of faith during lockdown, a leap of faith in business, or I think in doing whatever it is you wanted to do that you haven't done before this because of the 9 to 5 or the commitments that you're involved in, and you've never had the chance to take time out and think about what you really want to do. We do have a guest, and I think we're supposed to have two guests on today. One is Mark Johnson, who's recently taken out an RAC membership, and we'll find out what his background is. Apparently he's lost, I think, his work. I don't think he's lost work. I think probably because of the lockdown he's out of work. I'm not sure which way around. We will ask him. And also, as well as that, we have a young lady by the name of Advitya. Is that right? Yeah, is she on? Not on yet, but she should be on. And if she's not on today, then obviously she will be on maybe later on. I'm not sure. But she's like a resident psychologist that we're going to have on every morning. We'll give advice to people who are suffering, I would say, from lockdown, trying to work out their best position. So without a further ado, let's invite Mark Johnson on. Let's get Mark Johnson on from backstage. Mark Johnson, good morning, Mr. Johnson.
Morning, can you hear me?
Good morning. We can hear you quite perfectly fine. Good morning, Mark. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Are you?
Excelente. Right, what part of the United Kingdom are you with first, Mark?
I'm from Lincoln.
Lincoln, right. So for those people who don't know where Lincoln...
Sorry?
Right, yes, right. For all those people who don't know where Lincoln is, it is exactly where Mark said, near Nottingham. So I think, does it fall into Anglia, into Cambridge? What part of the country does it fall into?
East Midlands, really.
Pardon?
I think it's sort of in
East Midlands.
on the border, really, but it's just down from North Lincolnshire and East Anglia. That it's sort of in the middle of nowhere, really.
That area, that's right. Well, no, not really. It's a lovely little spot because I have been to Lincolnshire.
Yeah, lovely town, yeah.
And I've been to Lincolnshire. I've been to the city as well. It is a small, bit of a small city in terms of it doesn't seem to be very big, but it's. I think it's a bit of a tight community, isn't it, Mark, in Lincolnshire? Is that right?
Yeah, it's ever expanding now. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of industry going on here. We're a big university city now as well. That's ever expanding as well over the last probably 10, 15 years. So it has grown. It's grown quite big. I mean, currently there's no nightlife at all anywhere in the UK is to talk of, but you know, Lincoln's got quite a busy nightlife. From the
Has it? Right. Okay. What's special about the nightlife?
Sorry.
Mark, what's special about Lincolnshire's nightlife? What have you got there which is really hot?
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm nearly 50, so as far as the partying lifestyle goes, it's I wouldn't say I'm past it by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, whether you like student life or not, it brings a lot of industry and money into the town. So from that point of view, you know, where a few years ago where we had quite a quiet nightlife, it's now quite bustling, although it's struggling.
Okay, so is it a very hedonistic type of? Is it very hedonistic, or is it more sort of like just party, drink cheap alcohol until you drop type of thing? What do you when you say it's really it's outgoing?
It's just busy. Do you know what I mean? It's just the amount of people. It's just very, very busy. Now, you know,
Okay,
there's a lot of people that don't appreciate the money it brings into the town. You know, but with that side of it alone, I mean, I don't run a bar or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's not a field I'm involved in. But when we weren't in lockdown, there were many late.
I think with students, I mean, right, yeah.
Sorry.
Many late bars open. What does that mean? Sorry.
Well, it just brings a different aspect to it brings.
You said with the lockdown, many late bars open.
Generating funds. You know, it's like I've got 2 properties that I rent out now. 18 months, 2 years ago, I had to evict some tenants that were so-called friends, and they trashed my property. It cost me quite a lot of money to refurbish it. Now, it's only a 2-bed terrace house, but I made it a 3-bed student let. You know, so I've bought into the student lifestyle in Lincoln, and it's now been rented out for 2 years as a fully occupied student let, and it's doubled its money. It's just, it's unbelievable, really. Bearing in mind that refurb nearly bankrupt me, and with the aspect of it, not an awful lot of money in the big picture. When you've been chasing rent for probably 6 to 8 months, and then you're 6 to 8 months further without rent, and you've still got the bills to pay and everything, and you're doing a refurb. When I say a refurb, it's a brand new kitchen, a new boiler. We ripped a wall out, we changed things. Everything was brand new in the house. It's like a brand new property. It cost me a lot of money, but just going back to without the student impact in the town, that's obviously made it grow so vastly. That property would have just been a 2 up, 2 down refurb, and so from that point of view, it sort of worked for me a little bit. But not everybody wants the students, not everybody likes them here, and but you get that everywhere, I suppose. You know what I mean? There's always going to be somebody that doesn't like it, that doesn't agree with it, that doesn't jump on the bandwagon as well, if you like. You know what I mean? So
yeah, okay. So the situation is that what you're saying is even in lockdown, even with the matter having become quite desperate in the bigger cities, Lincoln having picked up on a student sort of like expansion on the university and the influx of students, it's actually giving you a bit of a boost for your rental business.
It has, from my point of view, yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, the next question to ask is, are your students mainly UK students or are they foreign students?
Well, I do know we have a selection of foreign students. I mean, personally, all my students have been British girls, if you like. So I've not had any foreign students, but I am aware that with people I talk to, we have Chinese students, Indian students that come over just to study here. Do you know what I mean? They're not residents of the UK.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
again, that's
Aren't they better though in terms of payment? Because if you've got UK students, I mean, students aren't best for managing their money, are they? They're normally sort of like literally living hand to mouth. So, is student rental income, is it profitable, or is it just about sort of like covering costs?
No, it's profitable for me, and I do think it's down to the management of the property, and how that's looked after. If you're with a proper student company, they oversee guarantors and all sorts to guarantee the money. Whereas if you're a student, if you're a landlord renting to a student, say if you advertise on Facebook or Gumtree your property or spare rooms, for instance, and you've taken a student and you're managing it yourself, and you're bringing that student in without managing it properly and putting proper contracts in place, then I suppose you're opening yourself up for a bit of a fall or a bit of a fail.
Okay. Is that what happened last time then when you had your friends or sort of like personal friends?
No,
informal.
Before it was just a single 2-bedroom property, but they were subletting it. But the management company I had in place at the time, I mean, I did it myself for a while, and I wasn't doing it properly because of my work commitments. So I went with a company, and when it went with the company, it went downhill. So not all management companies are. I'm not going to say reputable because that's not the right word, but they're not all doing the right job, if you like. So I put my trust in somebody else to manage my property, and it was maybe too little, too late from that point of view. But I'm not specifically blaming them, but from a legal point of view, I think I may have even gone with a management company to cover the how to do the job properly from a point of view of sending letters and recovering money, and that, you know what I mean? I think it was getting to the point where I was probably £600 out of pocket with rent, which is probably a month and a half's rent chasing. So at that point, I went with a management company, and we was in the process of recovering the rent. But by the time we actually got into the property, which was a few months later, because they couldn't get access to it for whatever reason, it had gone too far. But I've got mail for people I've never even met. I even had a will turn up, you know, for an inheritance letter came. So I googled a few people on Facebook, and all of a sudden I got the mother of this person that had been living at my property. Role clearly, do you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, because there's £18,000 in a will, they're coming out the woodwork like it's rat up a drain pipe kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because when you're trying to chase money out of people, they don't come. They're just going to say, "Yeah, I lived at your property and I owe you X amount a month's rent." But on the other side of it is there's a will there for £18,000 or however much it was. It's like knocking on the door. Can we have our will? Well, yeah, let's have another conversation. You know, how long was you living? So it's not a case of getting the money off the guy. It was a case of finding out what was the conditions you lived at my house for, who gave you the authority to live there, and that gives me another thing to chase up. Then, do you know what I mean? So he might have been in this.
Yeah, it just shows you, Mark, that even though there's a lot of regulation, there's a lot of clarity in terms of property in the United Kingdom, where everything is organized, everything is available. It shows you that even then people are able to somehow create fraud from something which is quite tangible. It's quite worrying concerning.
Landlords. There's not a lot of government help for landlords that are in that situation. You know what I mean? Everything sides with the tenant. Now, if I posted pictures of my property on this site, you wouldn't believe it. It was like I've seen cleaner drug dens. Do you know what I mean? It was horrific. So, even though I was working, I had quite a good job. So I was, when I did gain access to the property, it took me a month just to empty it, which is like Saturdays and Sundays. So it took me a month of weekends to empty the
clean it out. Is that the rubbish that they'd left in there, or was it the breakage and the damage, or what?
There wasn't an awful lot of damage. It was just dirty. It was just, they left. I found bags with mucky nappers in it, and I can't remember a girl. Living there. I can't remember a baby living in the house. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, another reason why I went with the management company. I went to do an inspection there one day, and although I have a point of view that you can't tell people how to live within reason, but you can sort of put your guidelines in. But there's 2 smoke alarms in the property, only battery operated ones at that time. And I goes in there and I looked at, there's one right in front of the front door and one at the top of the landing, straight. So I can see, as you walk in, you can see them both. And the covers are ripped off and the batteries are out of it. I said, "Where's the cover for the smoke alarm?" Well, it was beeping. It was beeping, so we took it out. And it's like, well, that's there for your health and safety and my health and safety.
Protection. Yeah, it's a legal protection on you that you've done the right thing as a landlord.
I do the right thing, but you can put a brand new smoke alarm in there, and when you've turned your back on the door, they could take it down or take the battery out, or there's only so much as landlord you can do. But if that house had gone up in smoke and those people had died in there, I'd be in jail doing time now.
Yeah, true.
But I have tried.
It could scare. Well, if you start going into those things, Mark, it could scare you to death. Taking the responsibility to have a property that you have no real control on, because you can't really watch the property, can you? You can't really, sit all night trying to watch your property, can you?
That's invasion of privacy. So you can't, you could put a camera up in every room, but you're not allowed to do that. And you could probably put cameras up in hallways and stuff like that, communal spaces. But that's another invasion of privacy. You can't do that. But it would eliminate some kind of wrong activity. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure my house was used as some kind of drug den for a while. They weren't growing anything there, but they were. It was definitely, there's people I've never heard of, and when you try and Google them, they're not even on the face of the planet. I've found wallets for people that I don't know and nobody knows. You Google search them, you Facebook search them, and nobody's ever heard of them. It's frightening, really. But I don't blame anybody for that. I look at it as a learning curve, and if you take that situation and say, I'm never going to do it again, then you've failed, haven't you? Do you know what I mean? So from the student point of view, they weren't students, they were working, I wouldn't call them professionals, but they were working people. But from a student point of view, you've seen so many bad reports of landlords not getting the money. But I say, if you go with a proper company that have proper student contracts in place, then touch wood, I've not had any mispayments. I've not even had an indication of a mispayment or a reduction in money. Now, if they came to me and said, look, they haven't lived there for 2 months through lockdown, is there any chance of a refund? Well, I would consider that, because I still have to pay the mortgage, I have to pay the bills, whether it's being used. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to give it them for free, because I was going to say, if they want their money back, then I need to rent it out to somebody else while they're not in it. But all their plugins are there, so there has to be an even keel sort of thing, is to an agreeable discount rather than a free let, because you can't, having a free let is neither here nor there. I still have to pay the bills. People think, property, you're loaded. All my properties are fully mortgaged. Do you know what I mean? They're not paid for. They're all mortgaged, and that all needs paying. But I think people, even some family, look at you and think, God, you must be rolling in it. You've got 2 properties you rent out. You've got a good job, a nice car, this, that, and the other. And yes, I have, but I work hard for it, and I take the risks. The risks are there for everybody, and it's like going in. I've just through lockdown. I don't know if I'm going to have to beat and track here, but I think what this meeting and conversation was about originally was setting up my own business, which I've just posted on Facebook. A memory from 5 years ago. I assume it was one of my first PIN meetings. Right. So I've been on the training bandwagon for 5 years. Looking at training with different people, different organisations. Because you fall out of love with a trainer, but I think it's also nice to try different training, or even the free ones, just to get a feel for people, and they all deliver something in a different way, and you don't always pick everything up at one training session. But I think you can train and train. I've probably got 10, 15, 20 books up there that are motivational books, like Robert Kiyosaki, and there's all sorts of property books up there and wealth creation books. And I've only bought into that in the last 5 years, and I'm not a great reader, but I'll read snippets of it, and I listen to a lot on the internet, and over a period of time, I've sort of built up the knowledge, and I'm far from being the most knowledgeable, and I do like to do things properly. So rather than, I think, one of Robert Moore's comments is, or quips is, start now and get better later, and there's a lot of truth in that. Where I've been wanting to be as perfect as possible before starting, and the downside to that is you never start, because there's always a hurdle, or that's not quite right, or I just need to do this, or I just need to do that, and to an extent, there's a truth in that as well, because you don't want to look stupid at the same time, because people don't remember what you're good at; they remember what you're bad at.
Yes, correct.
You only have to deliver one bad experience, and as small as Lincoln is, you take a big town, that failure follows your name. So it's okay, shooting first and aiming the gun afterwards, but. And I sort of buy into that, and from a lockdown point of view, I was with a company for 23 years, started on the shop floor as a mechanic, and I've been in the motor trade for 33 years since leaving school at 16, and I've been made redundant 5 times, with good companies as well. And I'm 50 this year, and I just thought, if I don't do what I want to do now, I never will. So there's a lot of heartbreak in lockdown and through lockdown, and there's going to be a lot more redundancies and a lot of people out of work. I think we've just hit 5%, haven't we, last week, which is the highest rate of unemployment in decades. That's clearly going to get higher. The reason I was offered redundancy, it got to a point where I ran an office. I've been in management for 5 years, and going and looking after 4 garages, technicians, and talking to managers, and looking after the workshop side of warranty. Really, that was my department, the warranty department. So I conversed with the manufacturer on a daily basis, and they recommended me for a higher role, which was offered, which was given to me. But then through lockdown, the restrictions of travel into sites and that stopped that, and then obviously we went into full lockdown in March last year. And the longer I was off, the more I was dreading going back to work.
Okay.
It took,
And why was that?
Well,
Why was that?
it was a pressure job. You know, the job I had was it was a money critical job, and the paperwork had to be bulletproof. It was a very and we'd had a little bit of an upset with people. When I say I work with technicians, you know, when the job came to me, it was our job to put a job right, to supply it to the manufacturer, to claim the work. So it could have been a £25,000 engine in a sports car, or it could have been, there were lots of small claims as well. But you get that claim wrong and it's rejected. That's a lot of money, and you've got 4 garages doing the same thing. So from a workshop point of view, and from a human point of view, I think people take the path of least resistance sometimes, and tend to do a job quick and don't support it in the right manner. So when I was going back to work, I was sort of anticipating there'd be a lot of problems for me to mop up. So I wasn't looking forward to that. And obviously, I suppose being the highest earner in the office, they brought me back into the fold last. I've done some training. I've been training all through lockdown with 2 or 3 people, and got an opportunity to set up a letting agency in Lincoln, which I'm trying to do. That's sort of on the back burner. The trouble with Lincoln is, it is a big student market, and people are in contracts with people. There's not a lot of individual people renting out. So it's just a case of getting your name out there and getting in touch with them. I've got the landlord list for Lincoln, so I'm mailing landlords in Lincoln once a month just to see, get my name out there, just to see if I can acquire someone like that. And I think that is the goal, is to open, is become an HMO letting agent. But then again, through lockdown, I was offered redundancy and I took it, and I've set up 2 companies now, so I'm not actually trading an awful lot at the moment, and I've just requalified as an EPC assessor, domestic energy assessor. So hopefully that's going to put bread and butter on the table when the redundancy runs out. So I'm going to offer EPCs and Legionella reports to the sales and lettings community in Lincoln. I've also started working for a company called eHouse and Evolve, although Evolve isn't an operational contract at the moment, because they want me to do EPCs, which waits for my accreditation to come through. I also bring properties to auction now with a company called NALC Auctions at Newark. So, but it's only through lockdown that's allowed me to do the things I want to do now, if you understand what I'm saying. So I've done a little bit of work with the auction company. I've got my first jobs dropping into my eHouse account. So that work is imminent. Evolve will be imminent, and I just pick and choose who I want to work for when I want to work for them, and when the work's there. So although there's going to be a lot of negativity over lockdown, there's also for some people, and myself included, a lot of positivity, I hope. You know what I mean? So you've got to get out there and do it, haven't you?
Yeah. So this comes back to our topic for today, which is taking the leap of faith. And I think what's happened is the lockdown has created that for you, hasn't it? Sort of unlocked all the things that you had tucked away or hadn't quite got your head around. Now you're actually doing them. Is that right? Have you actually left the job now? Or are you still in your
October the 12th was the last working day. So, well, I say working day. I haven't worked since the 25th of March, but my official working day was the 12th of October. So I'm now living redundancy, and it's getting to the point where, and I've actually spent £3,000 of my redundancy on retraining and equipment, a new camera, not a laptop, an iPad, just to put some applications on, just do all the EPCs and Legionella reports through an iPad. Some equipment, I've spent about £250 worth of equipment for doing the EPC work. I bought a second-hand camera and lens, but you know, it's what they wanted me to buy. It does the job. So I suppose all in all, I've spent about £3,000 on retraining. And I agree that not everybody. I mean, with having 23 years service in a company, it's given me the largest amount of redundancy possible. Although they only paid it on the minimum amount, the minimum government requirement, it's given me the biggest amount of redundancy available. So I had probably 6 months' money to find a job where not everybody's got that safety net, if you like, or that opportunity to retrain. Because the course I did, I chose to do off my own back. It's now that course is now £400 for people to retrain if you're unemployed, where I paid £2,000 to do it. It wasn't a subsidised course when I did it. You know what I mean? So
okay. So okay, we're going to go back a few steps. Can we hear you? Can we hear him?
Sorry, no, I thought you was.
Yeah, I said, okay, we're going to take a few steps back. Firstly, we've got lots of people watching you, and they're very interested in the way you're presenting what you've gone through. So there are also a couple of love hearts, I think 3, 4 love hearts have come to us. So obviously you've got a fan group following you. And we've got a shout out for who have we got a shout out? Right, Rajesh, Marsha, Ali, John Smith, and as well. So all of us listening and giving us a shout out. Yes, Mark. Okay, so let's go a few steps back. You got the redundancy. Was that the trigger for you? I mean, you said you've been doing training courses. What were those?
No, it wasn't the trigger. It's been the safety net. I mean, obviously, I didn't know I was going to be offered redundancy, so through lockdown, I retrained and was presented an opportunity where, you know, I could do my letting agency work whilst working. So I was sort of through. I mean, it was lockdown that gave me the drive to look at doing something different. Although it's not. Having said doing something different, it's something I've been interested in for the last 5 years. Okay, renting property and working within the property network. So lockdown gave me the opportunity to jump on a training course with a guy from the UK who's got an ambition to open offices, a number of offices around the UK. So it's not a franchise, although I am paying for the opportunity. It's not like I am putting £15,000 in to buy a franchise straight off the cuff. It's a work in progress opportunity, and I pay a subscription fee. So we train once. We were training twice a week to start off with. Then we trained once a week, and now we're probably down to once a month. So there's a support network there. We have a training platform. We have there's a few things, and we have our own Facebook group to ask each other questions. And but that in itself gave me the desire to, yeah, I can do this. Do you know what I mean? This is something I can see working. And it was like I said, I've been with the company for 23 years, and they've been a very good company to work for, but there's been an awful lot of changes in a very short space of time. And you go back to the years ago working for family businesses, and my company became a money-making juggernaut, and it was all about feeding the people at the top. There's technicians in the workshop that haven't had a pay rise for 10 years. You've got backstreet garages earning more money than fully qualified made manufacture technicians. you know, my job was a little bit different. I did get the odd pay rise because I was non-productive. Although we recovered a lot of money, and we you know, sort of the book stopped with us. If you know, if the claim didn't get paid, we lost. It was our fault, even though we hadn't done the work. But if we can't support it or make it right, then you know we became a frowned upon department. So it was quite a pressured role from shop floor all the way up to management. But you can only do so much. So. But that aside, you know, everybody wants to make money. That's all we're in. That's all we work for. Do you know what I mean? It's our quality of life, and you know, if we could all earn the same amount of money, sat at home watching Coronation Street all day, we would. But that's unrealistic. Do you know what I mean? If you want things and you're driven, you have to go out and get it. And it's like, you know, I decided to change my career and work for myself. I want me to be in charge of me. I know that's not the opportunity or the mental capacity of everybody, and not everybody wants to do that. There are a lot of people that are happy working 9 to 5 and, you know, just getting a paycheck at the end of the week or the month or whatever they get paid. And, you know, now I don't know when the next paycheck's coming in. I don't know when I'm going to get paid next. You know, but I have to go out there and get it and chase the work, and you know, and to an extent, I haven't been able to do that because I'm unqualified at the moment. But you know, I'm hoping that by the end of this week, I can market myself in a different manner and hit the ground running for February. I was hoping to start from January. Do you know what I mean? So I did my first job on January the 4th. Actually, I did a floor plan in Leicester. For a property we brought to auction. So, you know, so I have started working in January, and I've got my first photo shoot this Saturday. It was supposed to be today, actually, which is why I was cancelling John. Not cancelling because I was going to do it on my phone. So we only have one car at the moment. One car that's that I'm prepared to take to people's houses. I've got a quite a large van outside. Which is like a camper van, but it isn't a camper, but it's a high roof Volkswagen Transporter. But I don't want to be turning up to people's houses to do work in that. So I tend to take, you know, when the opportunity arises, I need the car, I take my wife to work, and then I take the car for the day and do the work I need to do. So I had a job set up for today, a photo shoot. But they cancelled, so which is why I'm here online today. So I would have been doing this on my phone. So
okay. So I want to ask you a question. Okay, we've got Rajesh Malhotra who says, right, he empathises because he apparently also last year lost his job, and he's asking, right, okay, so is it because of the reduced redundancy? Is that what has given you the boost to start your work and working your dream job, or what's the reason?
You know, I have given this some thought over the last few weeks, and I think if I hadn't have had, because I was offered a job to stay in my company, but they wanted me to work for £6,500 less money a year doing exactly the same job. When I say exactly the same job, it was not to manage the site anymore, because they asked me to lose my company car and lose my manager's title. And they just wanted somebody to be in there to do the work. And I said, well, that is absolutely fine. And I can do the job, but who's going to manage the office? Who's going to manage the people in it? And who's going to be the point of call to the manufacturer? And who's going to be the point of call to the managers at site and the technicians at site? And they turned around to me and said it will be exactly the same as it was before. So that's me then. Now you asked me to take a £6,500 pay cut, and I was earning £2,500 more than that 4 years ago than what they're asking me to take now. So I said it just doesn't bode well with me, because nobody in the office can do the job I was doing, and you're asking me to do exactly the same job for no disrespect, for the minion's wage. That have the responsibility. So it was my choice to look at my redundancy options. Now, not everybody has had 20 years in a it's few and far between now. So it's practically unheard of to have a job of 20 plus years in a company. Now, if you'd only had 5 years in the company, your redundancy is vastly reduced. And obviously over a certain age, you get a month and a half redundancy. Sorry, a week and a half redundancy, and not just a week. So I think I had 9 years of, when you get to the age of 40, every year over 40 is a week and a half money, not just a week's money. So I had 9 years at a week and a half's money. So that obviously lifted my redundancy to quite a good amount. And not everybody is going to have that opportunity or that safety net, if you like. I keep referring to it as. So if I hadn't have had such a decent payout to give me X amount of months work-free opportunity, then I wouldn't have been able to do what I'm doing now. I wouldn't have been able to retrain. I wouldn't have been able to set myself up or try and move myself forward in the right way to start my own business. So I can't remember who asked the question now, but I have probably had a gifted opportunity to change, change my career. I was working good friends with a lad who also got made redundant. I mean, there are some people in the company that actually got made redundant. Mine was my choice. I was actually offered a job, but because it was a different job, they were making my position redundant, but offering me a job at the same time. So I decided to take the redundancy. And there's other guys that have taken redundancy that haven't been there that long, that have had to find work straight away because they have. Again, my bills are. I need to earn £1,500, £2,000 a month to pay the bills of my properties, or the property I live in, rather than the living costs of where I live, supporting the children and that. So, it's a big risk I've taken.
How do you feel then? Are you confident, Mark? You feel confident that you're in control of your own revenue needs?
It's taken a long time for work to start dropping in. And it gets to a point where you think, I'm not at a point at the moment. I've probably got another 2 months redundancy left where that'll pay for my lifestyle. So with not having a lifestyle out of lockdown, I probably need £1,500 a month to pay the bills. So I've probably got £3,000 of my money left before I need to start looking at stopping things and you know what I mean, reducing stuff drastically. But it does get to a point where you start worrying about that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, to be in fairness, I'm not a worrier. I don't suffer mental health. I don't want anybody to send lots of love hearts, but I'm 50 this year. I lost my mum at 15. My dad was 50 years older than me, Second World War veteran, and he could have been my granddad. He's old enough to be my granddad. My dad was, and I think you've got society today. You've got children bringing children up that have got no life experience, and I'm fortunate enough to have had a very grounded upbringing. We weren't wealthy by any stretch of the imagination. We had nothing. I often remember our house looking like the sitcom, The Royal Family. Do you know what I mean? It was that kind of setup, and it. But it was good. When my mum died at 15, it changed my path of what I was going to do with my life. And I say that I'm looking after my dad, and because he looks after me, and it does change. You just take a regular job. I mean, I wanted to go and be a chef in the Navy, and that never happened. As it happened, I don't think I'd have got in because I've got a chest complaint, so I probably wouldn't have passed a medical. But at that time, I didn't know that. Do you know what I mean? It was my condition was unheard of. But your path takes everybody's path's different. But I've just had to get on with life, and I had the keys to the door of my dad's house at 15 years old. You know, people, the old story, yeah, you're 18 now, you get the keys, or 21, you get the keys to the door. Well, I had them at 15.
Wow.
And yet you sort of, I left school and went straight into a job, and my boss wanted me to take a week's holiday. And I went, no, I want to start working. I need to, so I've always had the ethic of that, you work and you work hard for what you get. And, through, I mean, I've had 3 months on the dole after one redundancy where I went through a time of deciding what to do in my life, and I went back into the trade. And this time is obviously the longest I've ever had off work, which is 25th of March till now, really. I mean, I'm only just starting to start my new job. And I'm obviously waiting for this.
That's an interesting question. Is it a job or is it your own job?
Don't know how to answer that, really. I mean, it is a job, but I mean, people look at a job and, there's the acronym with job, just over broke. So, this is where you work for somebody and you work your 9 to 5, your 5 or 6 days a week. And you have to be there at 8 o'clock and you have to leave at my hours were 8 till 6 officially. So I did 9 hours a day because we had an hour off for dinner, but you don't have a dinner break in my job. So I was doing 10 hours a day and then working weekends only when I had to, but it was only a Saturday. And it was only up to about 3 o'clock when it was month end. But, Stephen, even 10 hours a day is 50 hours a week. The majority of people are working 39 to 40 hours a week. At the minute, my hours are, well, I mean, if I'm truthful, I'm probably working longer hours because I'm on my computer sometimes at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sometimes not off it at 10 o'clock at night. So I'm either setting something up or working in the background on something or doing some training, or, I do stop for tea. I do stop to watch a bit of telly with the wife sometimes. I do take my dog for a walk, but that's after 10 o'clock at night, and I do go and view properties occasionally, and I do go and see people occasionally. But I'm working longer hours now and getting paid nothing for doing it than I did before. But I'm laying foundations down to potentially earn more than I ever did before.
Right. Okay. So how good are you at social media then? Because I know you've recently taken up the RAC membership. So how good are you at social media?
Social media is a difficult one. It's really, really important in, I mean, I've had a website built. That was one of the trainers I went with said, get a website built. So I paid £500 at the time to have this website built, and I'm running that now. And I've got all my social media platforms on that. So I've got LinkedIn, Twitter, my Facebook business account. So I've got my Facebook personal account, my Facebook business account.
Excellent.
And it's all I was setting up in the background. And then, the training I've just done recently, it's all right having all these social media outlets, but you have to be active in them. So now I'm, and every trainer brings you something different. You know what I mean? So,
what about networking? How are you at networking, Mark? Well,
networking's that's sort of been knocked on the head a little bit at the moment, hasn't it? But I'm doing a network with pin meetings. That's the only one that's the only meeting.
What about the people that you were already in contact with, colleagues and people that you were in the job with, people who are natural clients for you, even in property or in commercial lending or even in legal matters? Those people that you've worked with the last 15, 20 years, what about those people? I mean, they are naturally your network, aren't they?
You only contact those people when you need to contact them. Do you know what I mean? It's not I'm not afraid of opening a dialogue with these people. It's not daunting to me.
That's naturally. I mean, I'd say to you, let's say that database is worth about 100 people, maybe. Yes.
Well, I mean, I've probably know more people that are from meeting people at training And
Well, there
you
you
know,
are. So all of these people, that's your natural network, and if you follow the program to the right way, you don't have to spend a lot of money to make business. You can make it just by the personality you've got. You've got an excellent ability to communicate. And talking about excellent communication skills, we have the excellent communicator in backstage. I think we've got Lakhi Singh making a flying appearance in, right? Lakhi Singh, have we got him in? So we have
Morning.
morning, Lakhi Singh. Yes, we're talking about excellent communication skills, and you happen to pop up. It's probably a bit of a subliminal introduction to you, Lakhi Singh. Good morning, Lakhi Singh, the mover and the shaker, the man who makes things happen. We've got Mark Johnson on this moment, who is actually a new member to the RAC, and he's typifying how a hardworking white collar or middle earner has to deal with losing his job or having to downsize in the income, and yet he is now about a year into all of the hard work he's done in trying to retrain himself. And along comes the Rescue My Property model, which is free and should allow him to make money. So, what advice have you got, Lakhi Singh, for Mark, sorry, in regards to the use of the RAC model and how it could help him, enhance his business?
So, Mark, have you got much experience in social media?
Yeah, well, we were just discussing. So, yeah, I'm on all the platforms. I say all the platforms. I'm on all the main platforms. So, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I find Instagram hard to use. But it's just I'm just learning about Instagram, but I've not been able to post on that yet. But Facebook's the biggest, isn't it? You know what I mean? I've got 2 Facebook accounts, a business one, and I'm posting. I'm posting property content 3 times a week on all my social media platforms. So LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook are the 3 main ones I use.
Mark's got a portfolio as well, so he's not totally naive to property, and he knows, and he's quite good at finance. He understands the nuances associated with property finance, even the legals, because he's been through a bit of a bad patch with bad tenants and all that. So he understands how important it is to get the diligence right. You can't enter into a property matter without being clear about the diligence in the contracts and making sure you've got the right type of people. If you're going to give it to agents, the right type of agents, doing a regular check. So he's had the experience, he's got the old experience, and he's been in an industry for a long time. So my question is, what advice can you give him, Lakhi Singh, immediately when he looks back at all the natural business he has, are the people he's been working with, isn't it? Or what do you say?
Well, I give him 5 strategies to get him into a position where he's making at least £5,000 a month. The first question: how much money would you like to make per month? Ignoring any other money you're making at the moment, how much money would you like to make from this opportunity? I'll tell you, then we'll work backwards.
Well, so you'll get a lot of people, and I've seen this at lots of trainings where people say, "I want to be a millionaire, I want to earn £1 million." Well, set yourself a goal that is realistic to start off with. So, predominantly, I want to replace my income that I've lost through my full-time job that I took redundancy out of. So I want to earn £2,000. I'm going to go for £2,500 a month.
Okay, so this is a tried and tested formula. We actually tested this out with over 100 different associates that have actually come into the program over the last few years. And so, number one, basically, you need to just get your data sorted out in terms of people that have an interest in property or in business. So either of the two, or they need an income opportunity. Those 3 things you need, yeah? That's your first step. Second step is that you contact them and just say to them that you're involved in property as a solution provider, and that you provide about 50 different solutions horizontally and about 5 or 6 vertically. But the key sort of lingo, the words are We can write off negative equity. We can raise any type of finance. We can help you buy and sell any property anywhere in the UK. We can assist with off-market opportunities anywhere across the UK, and also high-end prime central properties as well. So that's a really good pitch. And then otherwise, we can help with any legal problems, especially stopping repossession in 24 hours anywhere in the country. Now, I mean, the list goes on, but those are the core components of what we can do. And the last one is, are you looking for an income opportunity? If you are, I am an associate working with a solution provider in property and business with Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, and I'm an associate with a company called Rescue My Properties. And in this market where things are very turbulent, we're actually growing. I mean, we've doubled up our staff by 10. These are all the positives. This is a brand that's been around for 10 years. We've tried and tested the formula of helping people with property problems, business problems, and creating new income in the last 10 years. It's an established brand. So basically now the next step is talking to people and beginning to realize really what are the key bits of business that you could be instigating. So quite a lot of information there. So I'm going to go back to Vijay Sal just in case he wanted to say anything else.
Okay, I'm going to say to you, Mark, all of that information that's been given to you by Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, is simplistic, it's real, and doesn't need you to do any research. You just look inside yourself and pull out. And remember, it is about helping people. It's not actually about knowing any of that. You don't need to know about property. You don't need to know about commercial lending. You don't need to know about the legals. All you need to do is, just as you are, be an excellent listener. So be able to listen to what the individual wants and then forward them out onto the system that's been set up on the membership dashboard, literally. And then, because you're new into social media, networking is probably going to be easier for you until you don't get to master social media. But if I just said to you, everybody you talk to, if you just look at what their profile is and say to them, right, add me in and become my contact, I'll become yours, and just put the message out, like you said, a simple message: property, unregulated or commercial lending, or legal matters. Anything you've got which is affecting you, it doesn't have to actually be about property. It could be in a dispute with your neighbor, that's legal, but it's about property. It could be, you've, for example, you've had a trip or an accident, and they think, oh, well, I've got a claim against someone. Either way, that's helping people. You're just literally helping people. And I think if you just go with that mind and don't put any pressure on yourself and just say, look, I want to just talk to people. I think there's enough videos out there we've drafted telling people how to manage their time, how to really just work clever and smart and do a small few hours a day so they don't eat in. And that was for people who are working to do a few hours a day on the weekend or in the evenings. And they could easily be generating well over your target that you say. So I think your target is quite low, but it's realistic possibly to start off.
You know what I mean? It's like, I've done a business plan for my EPC and Legionella work. Well, just for EPC. So I'm setting up my own company for delivering EPCs in my area. And nobody markets it very well. Nobody markets it. I don't really know where you get it.
The reason for that is, I'll tell you what's happened. You've got to be aware of it, that in the sales market, I think in lettings, I think they're bringing in EPC certificates now. But in general, EPC certificates are known as the devil that you need, because they'll get the certificate in when they know the sale's complete. and they try to avoid the cost. And a lot of people who are selling properties are finding it's tight. They don't have enough money from the sale, so they don't like to spend money unnecessarily until they know the sale's about to go through or there's an offer. So you'll probably find that market is that, but you're right. The market on EPC isn't a marketable product. It's what agents do for you, and they get you the business in. But we're in the last bit of today's drive time. It's been lovely speaking to you, Mark, and I think thank you very much, Lakhi Singh, for joining us at the tail end of today's drive time. I understand you must have been busy dealing with some complicated matters. Mark, lovely speaking to you, and we should try and have you on again, because I think you're an inspiration to lots of people out there who actually are going to look at you and think, wow, he's talking my language. He is me, and if he can do it, I can do it. So we will have you on again. Thank you very much, Mark, for your time.
I've been called an inspiration before, but there's a first time for everything.
No, it's an inspiration because you've got to understand. Yeah.
Sorry, say again.
Just a quick one. I'll be speaking with John on WhatsApp.
Okay.
And I'm waiting for a training video to come for the RAC site.
So what we're going to do is also, I forgot to mention, I think, quick 30 seconds, is that we've got access to a weekly meeting, which is a bit like a coffee with Lakhi Singh about the RAC program.
Right.
So I'm going to put you on there. Then any questions you got and anything around updates, we can do that. But I think just send him another quick prompt and he'll get the video over to you. Because
just need to know how to navigate the site and
okay, yeah. So is it a training video on the dashboard? Is it, John? Mark?
Sorry.
Is it a training video for the dashboard?
Yeah. Because obviously, it's taken me 2 or 3 months to actually sign up with you guys, because there's been a problem with the software, I think. But okay. I am a member now. I can get the site up. I just need to know how to operate it and how to operate
there's a lot
it.
Of videos, I think there's lots of videos out there on how to use social media, and I'm sort of like
social media is not the issue. It's not working on the site. I want to know a bit more about the site and what we're doing on it.
That's right. Okay, we'll be done. Take care. Lovely speaking to everyone. And we shall have you on again, hopefully. Take care, Lakhi Singh.
Bye-bye.
Alternative Business, Properties and Solutions Community with Lakhi Singh.